Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, we got a very cool guest, and she has a new horror documentary coming out called "Living with Chucky," and it's exactly what the title says. It's about her growing up with the Chucky doll. Her father was one of the main people to create the Chucky dolls and move them and like a lot of the stuff you see in the TV series and from C to Chucky on up is her father and a group of teams that make the Chucky dolls look like they're alive. So we're gonna talk to her all about the film that she's doing. She's interviewing all the actors from all the Chucky films, from Brad Dourif to Jennifer Tilly to Alex Vincent, and it's a really fun film. And once it's out, I think you all should go see it, because if you're a horror fan and you like Chucky, you'll definitely like this film. And I'm talking about the filmmaker herself, Kyra Elise Gardner, and she'll be coming on very shortly. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Room. And as always, welcome to my nightmare. Stay tuned. All right. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your night and coming on the show.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, any chance I get to talk horror and Chucky, I'm 100% down.
I feel it. I feel it through the screen.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like the first thing I wanted to start out asking you is, the film that's coming out that you're making, living with Chuck Chucky, and I have to ask the question, like, when you were growing up as a little girl and your dad basically is the person, one of the main ones that make Chucky and make his movements and all that. So being surrounded with a bunch of Chucky dolls, were you ever scared and like Chucky was looking into your soul?
Right. I feel like I sort of blocked out my memories as a very young kid on my first reactions to the dolls, because I know my parents tell me I was terrified of the doll. I referred to them as the bad people, apparently. But I don't remember that. So I do remember that I was scared. And then at some point there was a transition to, like, he was brought around every Halloween as part of like the decorations and things. So I think at one point my brain got more used to him being around the house and stuff like that. But I blocked out the trauma, apparently.
Okay, there you go. And seeing all these years down the line, you're making a film about the killer doll. So it all worked out.
Yeah, the most expensive form of therapy.
Right, exactly. And how would you describe like your bond with Chucky?
I feel like it's a brotherly, sisterly vibe, which is odd to say, more so just because it's a presence that has been consistent throughout childhood to now. I know that's not the same sentiment as other people. Like Alex Vincent refers to him as the old dog that just won't die, which I think is probably more fitting for his situation than mine. I guess maybe the reason I would say brother is because, like, I feel picked on, that in the sense that he like killed my dad. So that
Yes.
maybe there's correlation there. I don't know.
Yeah, that was seed of Chucky. That was one of the kills, one of the scenes in the movie.
Yes, very, like, watching it as an adult, I'm like, oh, okay, that's like over the top. That's crazy. But when I was a kid, that was so realistic to me. I was like, oh my God, my dad literally just died.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's something for a little girl to watch, especially when her dad is on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. No. And nobody told me that either. Nobody told me that, that my dad was in a Chucky movie. Like they tried to
Oh,
like keep me away from things and just by not showing it to me or saying I couldn't watch something, but nobody decided to tell me that my dad was physically in a movie. Like
oh,
that.
okay.
So
So you
it
didn't
probably would have
even
been
know.
better had they tried to like sit me down and be like, hey, there's this thing, it's fake, it's okay.
Oh my God, that's horrible. And like, when you weren't a little girl anymore, when you're actually watching the films now, all the Chucky films, the Chucky television series, and you're basically watching the the actors like Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly. So how was it like to actually finally get to sit down and meet them and actually talk to them about Chucky?
It was wonderful. It was really surreal and it's so weird. I'm sure actors must feel this all the time on the receiving end, but like we're watching their faces constantly. They have no idea who we are, but we see them all the time. So all those names and faces that I had seen, finally seeing them in person was so wonderful. Yeah, because Brad was the voice of this doll that killed my dad one
Yes.
time, and Jennifer was just somebody who kissed my dad's decapitated head, and that's all I had context for. So to meet them and like also to meet them as not like a young kid and an adult was very interesting um and fun.
Yeah, I mean Jennifer Tilly is so awesome. Like it seems like she has like one of the best personalities because like out outside of acting, of course, like if you would ever meet her at like a horror convention, like she seems like she has like a real funny outgoing personality.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's like so excited whenever you talk to her, even if it's just like about something mundane. It's almost like she's a kid at heart, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, like and when you walk into a room and she's there, it's like you feel her presence. She's just like larger than life and loves so many different things. And it was really cool to see her a little bit at the Halloween Horror Nights event in 2017 and kind of experience that with her as a person rather than like filming her.
Hmm.
And she's really supportive too. I remember when I first sent her the movie, her email back was very kind.
Oh wow. Oh, that's awesome. And Brad Dourif, like I don't think oh yeah, and Child's Play 1 was the only time you ever saw his face in a Chucky film because everything else is just his voice. And
Yeah.
that's like crazy. Like Brad Dourif is basically the the big star of the film series and the television series because he is Chucky, but
Yeah.
you never see him.
No, they started doing those flashbacks and Curse, which was nice. And then, but yeah, really, we really didn't get to see him. That must be odd being like so famous, but like for a character that's not your face. I mean, obviously he's done other fantastic work as well. Like I love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and
Yes.
what was that show? Deadwood,
Oh yeah.
things like that. He's done so many other very award-worthy performances, and it's so funny that he's most famous for, I
For a
think,
doll.
yeah, for a doll, and it's not even his own face. I wonder what that's like for a voice actor.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know that must feel like a little weird, but then it's good too because you are the voice of Chucky. You're like, in my opinion, the only voice of Chucky. I'm not even going to consider the other
Absolutely.
one.
I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't know that man. I've never seen Star Wars in my life.
I mean, to give that person credit, like he was good in that series, but not Chucky.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't watch the reboot just because I felt like it'd be rude to. And I didn't want to give them my money. So and that's
Exactly.
not on any of the filmmakers or actors or anything
Well,
like that.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I actually haven't really heard Mark Hamill as Chucky. A few snippets of what I've seen though, it's Mark Hamill. He's
Well,
great.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
Brad Dourif is the only Chucky.
Yes, he definitely is like the only voice of Chucky. And if Brad Dourif ever retires from doing the voice of Chucky and they still want to do it, then I don't know who would come next, but it's gonna be weird without, because Chucky had, like, Brad is Chucky, and
Yeah.
that voice, like, you can't replace that.
No, I hope they do never do. Like if whenever that day like don't continue onward. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that would be disrespectful because he is so much that voice, but freaking like production companies, they don't care and it makes
I know.
that. Hence like the reboot. But yeah, I hope and he seems to like doing it, which
Yeah.
is nice, that he's still very invested, so many, well, and because he's been there since 88, so how many years is that?
Oh
That's
my God. Yeah.
35. What's math, but like into 30, over 30 years for him to be
Yeah.
fully invested as he was then is really awesome, and that's some dedication too.
Oh my God. Yeah, of course. So, so what inspired you to want to actually make the film? I mean, we all know that you always grew up around Chucky. So what inspired you to actually want to go forward and make a film and interview the actors?
Yeah, it started as a short film that I did in college. We had a semester on documentary filmmaking, which I think my film school was one of the few, I don't know if it's still in their program, but it was one of the few that taught documentaries in school.
Okay.
I was begrudgingly taking the class because I wasn't as excited about documentaries as I am now. So I'm thankful for it in hindsight, very much so. And so we were watching a lot of documentaries in class, and there was this one documentary called Stories We Tell, and it was a movie where we got to see the filmmaker involved in the film, which was really intriguing to me because I didn't know you could do that in documentaries. Like I hadn't seen that before, so I knew I wanted to make something like personal and break the fourth wall, to be more interesting. And originally I was setting out to do something about having my dad as a special effects makeup artist. And
Hmm.
then for my school project, it was only 7 minutes that we could have it running for. So it was a little too broad. That man's career is way too broad to cover in a short time span. But a teacher suggested I focus on a subset of his career, and with that was Chucky. So hence,
Oh,
yeah, that's one of the ones that has been around my entire life, and I have no recollection of this doll not being present, which is so weird to say. So that's when the personal aspect came to be, and I dived into the Chucky world, and it was great because I really was meeting those people for the first time. And then I felt really integrated after that, especially after the short film ran its festival circuit. My short film was playing ahead of Cult of Chucky that year at all the
oh, okay.
festivals and premieres. Yeah. So then it was like I got to interview these folks and get to know them a little bit more. And then through the festival circuit, I really just got to hang out and be a person with them, and seen as an adult rather than just like Tony's daughter, which was
Well, yeah,
really
exactly.
cool at that point. So that was really, really awesome.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what did you like most about shooting the film and doing the film?
Honestly, the interviews were the most fun for me. If you were an editor, you might say the editing process, but that was way overwhelming for myself, I opted out of editing a thesis my senior year of film school because I didn't like it. And then I was like, all right, let me edit my first feature and do a documentary, which is a nightmare in editing. But yeah, the interviews, and especially when we started doing the later interviews like Tony Timpone and John Waters, those ones were more fun in a sense of I knew the shape that the documentary was taking in the editing room. So I really had very specific questions, and it was fun to get the answer for and feel like my documentary was like being completed at that point. And then of course, just like going that whole trip, going to New York and interviewing Tony Timpone. And then we drove down, my cinematographer and I drove down from New York to Baltimore to John Waters's house.
Oh,
and
nice.
it did his interview there. And that whole trip was just so much fun.
Wow, nice.
Mhm.
And out of all the ones you talk to on the film, like, is there anyone that gave you the funniest story? Like, is there like a story that you laughed at hardest?
Anything that comes out of John Waters's mouth is hilarious. There were so many things that didn't even have to do with Chucky, and then we just got like on a tangent about like acid, and something in his movies, but then like this actual like real true crime story, and it was
Yeah.
really funny.
No, I know, like you basically covered everybody for the film. I mean, a who's who in the world of Chucky. You even got Glenn and Glenda.
Yeah, Billy Boyd. I was so excited to get that interview. Oh my God. Yeah.
That was like the way his voice is like so
Better.
great for Glenn and Glenda, and especially I don't know if you saw all of the television series yet, but when they actually brought the doll back and they brought him back to do the voice, I was like, yes.
Yeah. It was interesting because when I knew before anybody did that, like in the public, that Glenn Glenda was coming back,
Mhm.
and they're having Lachlan play Glenn Glenda. And
Yeah,
I was just like, how is that going to work? Because Billy Boyd is the voice actor. So are they just going to have a different voice? And like, yeah, it's Lachlan's voice. It'd be really weird if you think about it for Billy Boyd to dub over their
I
lines,
know.
and really weird. So I love this this like weird mythology Don created with like, oh, when they go back in the doll, that's when it's Billy Boyd, and when they go back in a human form, it'll be Lachlan. So funny.
I know that really was like the television series is really amazing. Like I'm liking it a lot, and you got like the old school with like Tilly and Alex Vincent and Brad
Yeah.
Dourif, Christine Elise, and then you got like the new breed with Zachary Arthur and I can't even think of the rest of the names, but
I know. Yeah. I know I'm less familiar with the new crowd, but
yeah.
it is great. It's bringing old and new audiences together, which is really great because other franchises, it's really riding off of the nostalgia, and it's
Mhm.
harder to introduce to a younger generation. Yeah, or feel like you have to start all the way at the beginning. Like you could technically start the TV series as its own thing, which is nice too, because it does give you a breakdown of like the history of it a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah. I love all the different versions of Chucky in the TV series when he split his soul into all the different dolls, and
Yeah.
you had that real buff, jacked up Chucky.
I remember I walked into my dad's shop at one point last year, the year before that. And it was our sculptor, Dave Smith, was sculpting buff Chucky. And I was like, what is happening here? Where did this story go? Why are we getting Hulk Chucky? I don't I like expected him to turn green or something, and
Right?
so
Exactly.
campy, but it wasn't that at all. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, I see there why this happened. But at the time, I had no context.
And I was cracking up laughing when that nun was actually washing his feet and stuff. And
I think Dawn is working through some awesome therapy in
yeah.
that season for sure, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care. He just goes there.
I know, right? Exactly. And who do you think is better mate for Chucky? Do you think Tiffany or the new girl in town, Megan?
Right. I can't switch teams. I feel like it would be mean. I have to stick to Jennifer Tilly. I have to stick to Tiffany. Tiffany's great.
Okay.
Also, that montage scene where she does her makeover, like if you weren't questioning your sexuality before, you kind of were at this point in time. Like Tiffany's super hot, and
Yeah.
we didn't have as many like women psycho counterparts, especially like coming in with Bride. So that was really cool to see. Megan's cool, like too. If they could have like a polyamorous throuple with each other, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think we should all tell Dawn that they shouldn't be a throuple. Or
Right?
yeah. Or yeah, no, there's so many possibilities. And Universal owns both
That's true.
films, so you really could do a crossover episode.
That's very true. Yeah. Uh, but like Chucky and Tiffany, man, their relationship is toxic. Like Chucky kills her, she kills him.
I
That
know. It's really bad. It's really bad. Maybe it's a good lesson to everybody watching of like, this is not what you should strive for. Please do not romanticize. Yeah, they are pretty toxic. Maybe
yeah.
Megan would, be at least a change of pace, and then then he can get sad and remember he misses why he missed Tiffany in the first place and loved her.
Yes.
Or something like that. And then I don't know, Megan can go. What other dolls exist? Megan's
I
just
know.
she's queer and she gets with the talking Tina doll from Twilight Zone somehow.
Oh
And
God, yeah, I
all the
remember
dolls.
that. Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know. There's some really weird. This would never happen, but
So, which your favorite Chucky film?
mine would have to be Child's Play 2.
Nice.
It's one
Nice.
that I like rewatching. Like if I were to pick two movies to rewatch on a random evening, it would be that or Bride of Chucky, for Jennifer Tilly's character for sure. But Child's Play 2, I love Kyle and Andy's relationship. I love the color palette, that pink house.
Yes.
Yeah, which we alluded to in the title sequence of my movie, where it's like the cartoon drawings, the hallway that Chucky walks down is like, we modeled it after the house in the movie, because I love that house. And also you have the toy factory scene at the end, which is really
Oh yeah.
fun. Yeah, and the colors in there are super fun as well. Anytime you can have like fun, crazy colors or like bright colors in a horror film, that's a win to me. If you can pull that off, that's so
Oh,
fun.
definitely. I mean, the way Chucky dies in that film, like you wouldn't think he would be back.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on that, to be honest. Like, I guess it is because the blood went into the next doll that they made at the
Probably, yeah.
factory, because that the way that Child's Play 3 starts is the swirls into
Hmm.
the but it's, yeah, you have to have some suspension of disbelief. Yeah, that death is great. That's a fun death in that.
I know that really is, and then Bride of Chucky, of course, is of Jennifer Tilly and Chucky killing each other, and
Yeah. Yeah, and she's burned, and yeah.
I think my favorite scene in Bride of Chucky is when Chucky's telling Tiffany to make him the cookies, and then she throws the tray at him. She goes, "F Martha Stewart."
It's really good. I love that scene too. And then you're just like, and then you obviously like Chucky's an asshole because he's a murderer and just the worst. But it's really in that scene when I saw it for the first time when he was like being super misogynistic, and of course because
Yes.
that's the character. But we really got to see it into that scene. I was like, man, fuck that guy.
That's
Like that's
exactly.
what drove me to the point of being like, fuck this doll.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what kind of music do you like listening to? Like, what's on your playlist?
Oh wow. I am a alternative rock person.
Oh,
I
sweet.
like alt rock. I have an older sister, so it was kind of like a lot of what she showed me growing up, and she was a total like punk inside emo kid.
Nice.
So like the heavier stuff was not my thing, but I grew up like liking Panic at the Disco and My
Yes.
Chemical Romance and things like that. Um, and obviously Panic at the Disco is not the same as it once was. So when they were like Panic at the Disco's breaking up, and I'm like, you mean Brendan Urie's just leaving? Because that's all it is at this point. But I also like, I don't even know what I would call some of these genres. I just like the girl who sings Super Lonely from TikTok, Benny.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that that was her, and I didn't like check out her whole music, but I'm really getting into her now, which is funny.
Okay.
It's so late. Or like Greta Van Fleet, I like them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bit of a mix of several things.
Okay, nice. And what would be your go-to karaoke song if you were doing it?
Oh God. I go to karaoke. I never sing at karaoke. So I would do the song from Grease with Sally, or what's her name? What's
But
the name?
Olivia
Olivia
Newton,
Newton-John's character,
yeah.
John Travolta. Yeah. There, you're the one that I want. That's an easy
Yes.
one for me to sing because it's basically just talking, singing. And then you get to have a partner, which makes it less scary.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
And what was like the last song you heard that got stuck into your head? You know, when you hear a song on the radio or TV and you can't get it out and you're singing it all day.
I was just introduced to this duo called Infinity Knives. And
Oh, I
it's
think I heard of them.
interesting. They were on like the top 10 like hit albums or something of last year,
Really?
but they're not that well known. And they have a song on their latest album from last year called Melancholy Boogie.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing that on repeat.
Oh, all right. I have to check them out. I never heard of them.
Yeah, Xfinity Knives is cool. Also Benny, because I literally just discovered her. She had a bajillion other songs, and it's great. The one where she's a snail, like there's a bunch of giant snails in the music video. I love that song. It's so fun.
Nice. And what is what junk food do you like the most?
French fries.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, fries are awesome. My favorite is pizza. Like I love pizza. The greasier the better, even though
Oh,
that's not good for you.
I know. I know. It's such a double-edged sword. It's so good. Stay away from
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, I know.
We all wish we could just eat junk food 24/7.
Right, exactly. I
Yeah.
know that would be so awesome if like you could eat junk food and your body just flushes it out and nothing bad hits it.
Yeah. It's a metaphor for life, I guess. The things that taste the best might not always be the best for you.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly. And are you more of a coffee or tea person?
Coffee, definitely.
Oh, nice. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Do you drink it black or you drink it like with?
If you drink your coffee black, I don't trust you. No, I'm just kidding. You're hardcore and I appreciate that about you, but I cannot do what you do in this
Yeah.
lifetime. I need a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cream. I don't need to go hard, but I have to have that.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. It's like I like the coffee taste, but I just can't handle it black. It's overpowering to my taste bud.
It is. You're like, oh my God, this is how it tastes without all the stuff in it.
Yeah. I'm like, I like it, but not as much.
Right, exactly. I'm like, all right, I have to do some if I want to stay awake.
Yeah, exactly.
And is there anything coming up next for you too, besides living with Chucky? Is there anything else you're working on you want to plug or?
Yeah, I shot and directed a making of the Foo Fighters movie Studio 666 that came
Oh
out.
yeah, the horror movie.
Yeah, I spent like
Yes.
2-3 years following the band and like the entire process of the movie I documented pretty much, which was so awesome. That footage exists, but it's also at the mercy of a studio now since it was independently produced and then a studio bought and distributed it. So we'll see what happens there, but I hope that one day it comes to fruition and people can see that and it's a documentary. But I have a music video that actually Lachlan Watson from
Really?
Chucky was
Yeah.
in. That's coming out next week, which is exciting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they flew in from New York to do it, which was so amazing of them. And it was so cool because it was like almost like the extended edition of the documentary in my head because I was meeting the new generation of actors in the
Well,
TV
yeah,
show. Yeah, and Lachlan's so wonderful, such an
yeah,
amazing person.
definitely.
Which was really fun. But yeah, and then just I have a few more music videos and then trying to get back into narrative and with some short films before I gear up to do a feature film.
Wow. Okay, nice. And where can fans watch Living with Chucky at?
You can watch it in the US or Canada starting April 4th, I believe. It's streaming on Screenbox as well as you can buy a video on demand on Amazon or iTunes or Apple TV, I believe. And then I think it hits the UK on like the 14th or something like that this upcoming month. And then it comes to Australia, all the same services on the 26th.
Nice. And where can fans follow you at?
Me, my Instagram handle is Kyra E Gardner, and then because I love to keep things complicated, I do not have the same username for my TikTok. My TikTok is Kyra Mira.
I like it. It's different.
What my mom used to call me, Kyra Mira, but when people don't know how to pronounce my name, they're like Kyra Myra, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound fun.
That's
So
true. There you go. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out and doing this. I'm finally glad that we got a chance to speak after talking to each other online for a little
yeah.
bit. And it was really nice meeting you. You're really awesome, and thank you again.
Yeah, sorry it took so long to get around to. I appreciate you being so patient and
Oh, definitely.
everything.
You were very busy with this.
It was a lot, but now it's out. My baby is almost out of the oven and I'm super excited to not be pregnant anymore.
That is a very interesting way of putting it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll finally have birthed my baby.
Exactly. And it's a very creepy kind of baby too.
Yeah, it's just fitting. And that's probably incestuous at that point, but that's okay.
Exactly. well Well, definitely have a great night and great rest of the weekend. And again, thanks so much for doing this. It's really nice to meet you.
Oh, you as well. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your weekend too.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.